Hello, my name is Austin Meadowcroft. This is the demo for the Unreal level we have been developing. I have been developing over this past third of a semester. What we're looking at right now is the level prior to the class in which we all got feedback. Some of the feedback I did receive is, well, really I got a lot of contradictions. A lot of people, some people said that they liked the open spaces. Some people said that the open spaces were a bit annoying. Some people said that they liked the indoor parts, while others said that they were a little too closed and did not fit the game well. So with that being said, it was a little bit hard for me to decide what to add and take away. And I tried to do a bit of a compromise with those that feedback. A couple other things that I got were the bad spawns, and to that I will definitely agree with. I don't have too much experience with bot pathing, and for the most part I focused my efforts on the design of the level. And along with that, I spent the one of the final hours prior to that class trying to get bots to come back here. I had a bit of a problem with getting the bots to do any sort of the more skilled mechanics like the wall runs and the slides, and they also preferred to not go back here. And I figured the reason that they might not come back into this back spot here was the spawns. It is a team deathmatch level rather than a plain deathmatch level. So I have 4 spawns, 1 in each corner. It is shaped like a rectangle, so each team would spawn on opposite levels, opposite sides. Occasionally they will spawn on the same side but opposite corners, and that just makes the gameplay happen much quicker. At any rate, I got rid of the spawn that was back here. It didn't even really do the job that it was supposed to. They would spawn back here, but they wouldn't stay around very long, and really what it ended up doing was get the entire engine confused, and they would be spawning next to each other. You would spawn right next to an enemy. It was really a shit show. Prior to the attempt of that, I added this little corridor. Originally I wanted this back area to be a little bit more of a secret, like an Easter egg, if you will. There are a few ways you could get back to it, but it was a little bit more tricky than any of the other areas. You had to either use this pathway here, which consisted of a lot of skill moves, such as wall running and sliding. You had to slide through here, which would mean that you had to fight your way into this building and up the elevator without getting shot from somebody at the opposite window. It works both ways. Or taken by somebody with a flat cannon coming up from downstairs. And you could also get back here, which was a little bit of a maze, but coming in from this direction, you could be met with anybody coming from the other side, and you have the downhill advantage, because I figured it's the easiest way to get to that area, but it also has a disadvantage that comes with it. While at the same time, once the game gets going, the spawns kind of do a little bit of flipping, so at no point is the spawn going to continue to just be, blue on one side, red on the other, blue in one corner, red in the other corner. And so, really, once the game gets going, by the time that you have the ability to go from one side to another, to flank the spawns will have flipped. So I didn't consider this to be OP, being able to come flank your enemies like that. Also, they could very well be waiting on the end of this very thin corridor with this flak cannon that you can only get on that side. Let's see. I did have some people make a lot of criticism, I heard, about something along the lines of the level didn't feel like an Unreal level. It felt like a different game. I saw, what was it, Duke Nukem or Doom. I was a bit confused behind this. I've never played a Duke Nukem game, so I don't know what to take from that. And I'm not going to go buy it. I don't have money right now. But I have played Doom, which is it's not exactly a deathmatch. So I was a bit confused on where to go with that. I know that there is some verticality there, and I was definitely trying to go for that. I know early on in the class we had discussed the kind of verticality you can have with the Unreal 4 engine, and I took that to heart. I really wanted to make this as vertical as possible. I mean, you can do wall runs across like this. You can do them across each of the walls here that also, block off the center. You can do it through here. Really, you can get to any part of the map from any other part of the map in several ways. So most of the suggestions that I could really act on was aesthetic based. A lot of people said that the textures needed to be better, and the pieces of it needed to fit better. For instance, these little floating platforms. Though I had a couple of people said that they were well placed, which I did take an effort to make sure that there was a plentiful way to get to them, and it was a very smooth way of playing it. They stood out there. They didn't quite fit in there. So I tried to give them some sort of thematic purpose, while also adding in textures that fit better, and even some meshes. Okay, so this will take one final look around the old level before we move into the one that was a bit fixed up. So we have this little sniper spot. This gets a pretty good look at everything up there. Okay, so let's go over to the other one. And we have two of those open. That's great. Here we go. So this is what the new level looks like. Originally, I was looking for a futuristic city kind of theme. I know Unreal does look, it has a bit of a realistic, or a futuristic, sorry, theme to all of its player models. And a lot of the movement seems very futuristic. There's the wall running, and some of the jumps and weaponry. So I figured that actually gives me a good way to explain away these floating platforms. So let me check to make sure that we don't have a bunch of bots running around chasing me. Nope. Okay. There we go. So
you are on the blue team.
As you see, they seem to have something propelling them up, like some sort of technology. It's glowing blue light, kind of tells a story in its own. I also surrounded. I got rid of the walls. In the old level, there was walls surrounding the thing. I figured that kind of made it seem very big. Although in the theme of a city on the top of a building, it really should be insignificant rather than really big. And I think that the verticality of the level kind of gives it depth, so it doesn't need those kind of little visual tricks. So I dropped the walls and I surrounded it with what looks like towers everywhere. I added this crane to give some sort of purpose to this box. Now it looks a little bit like a man cage, with some sort of ramp that's been used to get back and forth from this warehouse. I did do a little bit of changing to some of the more mechanical aspects, such as originally I had 4 health kits, both in the center here and on the top. I did reduce that. Some people had made mention to it. Originally I had figured that if somebody was going to fight to get to the center, I want there to be some sort of, benefit you gain out of it. But really having 4 is just overkill, so I have 2, one on either side. So there's still something to go after, and if more than one person wants to rush to the center, the more power to them. It'll give more speedy gameplay, as it were. I retextured a lot of the places. I added in meshes. Here, we can go back here. This used to be a more empty room. Now it kind of has some sort of purpose. What else do we have? Here we go. This looks nice. We got some vending machines, some waiting table chairs. None of these meshes are mine. I found them all online. We have some turnstiles. Added a little train so that you can tell this was a train station. That kind of thing. And we got like a living room over there. You can kind of see through that window. So the thought process here was really broken down into 3 things. 2 of which were quite similar, I suppose. So I wanted to give that theme of this futuristic city. I think I did so much better on this second run with it. I had a bit of trouble deciding what I wanted the train station to look like. I don't know how to texture personally. I'm not an artist. I'm a designer, so I had a rough time finding a texture that fit, that said, hey, this is a train station, which is why I ended up having to do stuff like add the train itself and these little turnstiles. But the buildings, I think, worked pretty well with the textures. There's not very many of them out there, and a lot of them are duplicated. I'm pretty sure every single one was duplicated at some point, but when you're playing, I don't actually think that it's very noticeable at all, but it does. You can totally tell that you are surrounded by these things. My second objective was I wanted to give the players multiple options of playstyle. I personally am not very good at this game, which is a big reason why there was so many health kits everywhere. Because I didn't last very long, I just ended up turning down the bot difficulty. But that being said, I wanted the base. Obviously, you can tell there. It really seems to be that there are 2 levels stacked on top of each other. We have the base level, which is all on the ground and in the buildings, and then the upper level, which is all these platforms in the sky and the roofs. And I wanted these to be able to kind of separate the 2 categories, which would be, new players and more skilled people that know how the map works and the mechanics of the game. Because I'm sure a bunch of people that have just played Unreal could jump into this level and know that they could wall run on here. Really, it kind of screams wall run to you. There's not really any sort of platform underneath of it. And my main focus was definitely allowing skilled players to be able to get around
you are on the blue team.
Much better than anybody else. And so I added a bunch of different ways that you can move around. Here's a good example here. So getting up on top of this building, there's a sniper up there. and it gives you kind of an overlook across the whole thing. So you can do that in several ways. You can obviously come in through this door, or this on that side. You could, if you wanted to, come from that side. If you were to spawn here, you could also come underneath, whether from here or from there, and then come up these stairs. Now obviously those are all very basic ways to get around, but again, I did want to give someone the ability to get there if they're not very good at the game. And then there are more advanced ways to get around there. You could jump on the side like that and just wall run your way up. You could, coming from over here, you could get up on top of this thing. You can get up here, and if I do this properly, you could wall run, do a slide, jump up here, and then wall run again, and get up on top of it. And you can get up here. And getting from the spawn to up here is kind of risky because it's roughly about the time that you get up here, there's going to be somebody coming up here from the elevator, likely with a better weapon than you. So those are the kind of things that efforts I made to show that you can kind of get around the entire place. I suppose actually I can think of one other way to get up there.
You are on the blue team.
I didn't actually know that that's how that worked before I built that, so I was kind of pleased to know that there's another way that you can get up there. So that kind of design philosophy runs throughout the entire level. You can get just about anywhere from anywhere. If you wanted to get, say, up into this section or even up here, we'll say, you can do it from this building up onto the plate. I don't want to go
on the
through
blue team.
all of the ways because obviously we don't want a half-an-hour video. But you can jump from this side up there. There's a little stairwell, and then you do another wall run like that. And from this side, if you were to spawn over here, you can walk up here. You can get up onto this and do a wall run like that. I didn't make it, but you can also make it from using this bridge here. Now, this is a little bit more basic. Really, there's only one wall run you have to make, but it is super exposed. Anybody that's on top of this building is almost sure to shoot at you. And if you wanted to fight back, you are going to be doing it on a smaller platform, so there's not much mobility you're going to have, which I did think of the ways to limit the player's ability to just come right up here. There is still a wall run you have to make. There's no way you're getting up here without doing any sort of skill move. And that runs throughout the entire thing. So what I'll do now, to wrap it up, I will come in here and add the bots and just kind of show how the teams work.
You are on the blue team.
I put these link guns just about everywhere. I wanted
Cover me!
I wanted there to be a bit of a base weapon, kind of.
Cover me!
I'm used to games that have a class system.
Anyone else want some?
I didn't want to completely take away everything unique.
I need backup!
So,
Cover me!
just one weapon around. It's pretty good all around. You know, it has close range, distance. We're not likely to see anybody back here. Don't seem to come back here very often. Work better, but next time I'll be putting my focus.
I need backup!
Like I did this time. Obviously, I was going to be putting some focus to that, but definitely looking more into the bot. I have
need
seen
backup.
the bot get up. That's happened a couple times. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good good display of how the teams work. Once it gets into the actual game, once people start firing at each other and dying and respawning, the spawns kind of work themselves out. And I have rarely, since I did a little bit of tweaking, I have rarely seen that you spawn right next. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have seen that you spawn right next to the enemy, which I did have at some point, but I think I fixed that problem. You will oftentimes spawn and there will be an enemy relatively close, like maybe in here, but that really is just an immediate action, or immediate call to action. And all of them do have places that you can go immediately for safety, whether it be directly into this building or directly into that one, or even this one. Yeah, that has been my level, and thank you for watching.